This is Tom Fox. I'd like to welcome you to the newest addition to the Compliance Podcast Network, the Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where you bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. Join us as we explore the latest trends from the Department of Justice, share some best practices, demystify complex compliance issues to help keep your organization doing business ethically and in compliance, and at the end of the day, more profitably. Tune in daily for your dose of compliance wisdom. Let's make compliance a little less daunting, one tip at a time. Now a word from the sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, Ethico.
In compliance, the value of anonymous reporting is undeniable. But with Ethico, anonymity doesn't mean a loss of connection. Our blinded, two-way communication fosters an environment of trust and confidentiality, encouraging open and honest dialogue. It's not just about receiving reports. It's about understanding the story behind each one, creating a culture of integrity and respect. Transform your approach to anonymous reporting with Ethico. Begin your journey at ethico.com/CPN, where you can book a demo, access an exclusive white paper by Tom Fox titled The ROI of Compliance, and utilize our free ROI calculator.
Welcome to the Compliance Tip of the Day. Today, we conclude a special two-part series on staying out of hot water in jurisdictions outside the United States regarding your hotlines. These tips come to us from the article, How to Launch and Operate a Legally Compliant International Workplace Report Channel. The next law I'd like to talk to you about is laws preventing whistleblower retaliation. Obviously, this is going to be familiar to anyone in the United States, but as with jurisdictions outside the United States, the key is to communicate, because in many countries, there is no tradition of protection of persons who make reports against superiors, so employees need to overcome fear of reprisal for whistleblowing. Next, laws regulating internal investigations. Typically, laws on internal investigations do not impact hotlines. However, communication by the employer is crucial to complying with laws that enact procedural safeguards for persons under investigation. Heavy-handed communications about a hotline could blow back against employers in claims by employees that an employer rigged the investigation process. Companies should ensure that communications about hotlines do not convey an overzealous approach to complaint processing and investigations. And finally, laws that may be silent but are triggered by whistleblower hotlines. The most likely candidates are data protection laws, which are silent on hotlines, or labor laws imposing negotiation duties and work rules. Regarding the former, hotlines are not databases, but conduits for the transmittal of information. This will impact, or at least may impact, EU data privacy laws, which reject the distinction and treat hotlines as if they were databases where information is stored. The labor law issue can also be tricky and may turn on the interpretation of whether an institution of the hotline is viewed as a substantive change in working conditions under some type of union management agreement, and therefore subject to collective bargaining, particularly in countries like Germany. Over the last 2 days, I've given you several inquiries you should make for your hotline, the jurisdictions you're in, and binding laws which may govern you are going to be critical for compliance outside the United States. So do you staff your hotline response in-house or use a third-party external vendor? Do you translate from local languages? All of these are questions you will need to consider for international hotline reporting. As you know, this month's sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, including this podcast, is Ethico. Have you ever wondered about the ROI of your compliance program or had concerns with presenting budget proposals to your CFO? Well, I partnered with Ethico to write a white paper on the ROI of compliance and how you can think through compliance as an investment strategy. Ethico has put together a ROI calculator for you. Check them out on the website. This is Tom Fox again. This new podcast, Compliance Tip of the Day, will appear daily. And frankly, it's one of the most requested topics for a podcast that I get on a regular basis. It's going to be short and sweet with one tip with some takeaways that you can utilize to implement into your compliance program. If you've got a question that you would like a tip on, please submit them through our website, and we will use them in an upcoming episode. The Compliance Tip of the Day is a production of the award-winning Compliance Podcast Network.